themselves might have experienced difficulties at some point in their life, particularly with mental health issues, where services can make best use of those peer volunteers to help reach out to parents who may be feeling vulnerable or at risk, working with them in their homes or at most local level. It's that approach that can really overcome the threshold issue and the stigmatisation and the barriers to accessing services that families need. So better that we have locally based services than forced referrals to really high cost, highly specialist services. And what parents and carers told us they needed more than anything in order to give them confidence to use the services that they may need was the attitude of the staff who work with them. They wanted staff who understood their needs, in whom they could have trust, who were approachable, who were respectful and not judgmental. So that again emphasises the need to use local people who are most vulnerable parents and carers feel that they can trust. And of course, and we'll come back to it in a moment, there is really high quality evidence which shows that if you can intervene at the earliest possible time with a child, young person or a family, then the greater chance they have of securing better outcomes. Actually, interestingly, in the UK, we've just had the second report published on early intervention, which you may want to refer to at some point. It's called the Graham Allen Review, commissioned by David Cameron, the coalition government, to actually analyse which interventions, which programmes have the greatest likelihood of success with children, young people and families facing multiple problems. So it's the Graham Allen Review, and again is available on the C3O website should you want to look at it. So, in summary, parents, carers, children, young people facing physical and mental health issues, what works? Just a quick summary. So, identify need, intervene early, locally. Provide flexible, tailored support. That is, that services need to be designed around the particular needs of a particular family. One size does not fit all. Avoid stigmatisation, i.e. referral to highly specialist services if you can. Again, accessible, local, visible, trusted. Foster carers for our children, young people who are in our child protection system in care, they particularly wanted better peer support networks, i.e. the support of other foster carers who were experiencing similar challenges and difficulties themselves. They wanted more training and they want more information on what services are available to them. Again, in particular, mental health services. The intervention that we have found through all of our research really makes the biggest difference to mental health issues is multisystemic therapy, which is, and I'm sure again you'll be familiar with this, where the holistic needs of a family or a child are looked at. Social needs, emotional needs, community-based needs, delivered through what we call talking therapies. Multisystemic therapy has the most significant chance of success. And the other unsurprising characteristic of really successful interventions was mentoring. A trusted adult that works with a vulnerable family or a child and young person, pre-birth sometimes, but then works with the family 0 to 5 years, but also works with the child. And interestingly, secondary schools, particularly in the UK, know that mentoring works because they use mentors for young people between the ages of 13 to 16 who may be vulnerable as they approach examinations at 16. So they know that mentoring works, but actually what we have found is that giving families, young children and older children, a trusted adult with whom they can work, who takes an interest in them, who can provide access to specialist services, who can often hold the ring on support, makes the most significant difference to vulnerable children, young people and adults. Turning now to the last of our research reviews into reducing family conflict. Just some data from the UK, and I'm not sure how it compares with data from Queensland, but in the UK about 40% of marriages are likely to end in divorce, and divorce rates are highest among young people, that is young people 30 and less. Partner violence tends to be more common in cohabiting couples than in informal marriage, according to the evidence, and again, unsurprisingly, married women with children are more likely to stay in a violent relationship than childless married women. A substantial minority of children exposed to domestic violence will also have parents that experience other difficulties, and domestic violence, according to the evidence, and divorce rates tend to be more common in low-income families who are experiencing greater economic and social stress, and those families from urban areas. I was very shocked actually the other day by an additional statistic in the UK which said up to 25% of children either witness or experience domestic violence at some point in their lives between the ages of 5 and 18. In the UK setting, that is a shocking statistic. I didn't believe it, and I asked for the evidence to be researched, and again this 25% figure came up, and 5% of those children are likely to experience sustained domestic violence on a regular basis, so quite shocking. And just quickly, some other key findings in relation to divorce and children's outcomes. Unsurprisingly, children from parents who are divorcing or have been divorced tend to have more negative outcomes than other children. However, it is vital to say that the majority actually develop well after initial periods of short-term stress. And many negative outcomes that children experience often come from the situation prior to the divorce rather than after it. And children in families where there is conflict or violence can have equally poor, if not worse, outcomes than children from families who divorce. What does come through all the evidence, however, is that following separation, and this is again where services and schools and early years settings can help, it is the quality of the relationship between the child and both parents that really make the difference, positively or negatively, rather than the quantity of contact. And so that is something that where we can help families who are experiencing marital breakdown. So, supporting families in conflict, what works? Families experiencing marital conflict or domestic violence often do not readily access services. So this again is where we need to make sure that support services are available at most local level, easily accessed, avoiding stigma, and again provided through universal services, through medical centres, through health services, through schools, through early years centres, where parents can, without fear, say they need support at particular moments of high stress, and often confidential support. But this is also where workforce development is key. We need to have people working in services that understand the points of stress and crisis in families' lives and who know best how to provide them with the support that they may need. Another piece of evidence we found, of course, is that teaching children at the earliest possible opportunity, from early years onwards, about how to manage relationships can be a way of offsetting difficult relationships as those children mature and grow into adulthood. And our other finding is that some of the most successful services provided for parents and carers experiencing divorce or marital conflict are those which are anonymous, where access to support and helplines can be provided through websites and other means which are anonymous, where parents have not got to identify that they may need that help. So web and media-based services can be a great help, certainly in the initial stages of experiencing stress and strain. Just very quickly, I want to look at the particular challenges facing families with disabled children. And again, we've got a whole body of research reviews that look at the needs of families with disabled children, because what we found in the UK is that a significant proportion of children with disabilities do end up either in foster care or long-term care. So we looked at 3 research reviews looking at children with disabilities, and they are listed here: improving the well-being of younger disabled children and their families and effective event intervention, helping parents and carers of children with disabilities have access to a whole range of positive activities, but also ensuring that parents and young people have access to services which meet their very different needs across the spectrum of disability, whether it be physical or learning disability. And actually, I'm not going to talk about what works, but I have identified here 3 pieces of really effective local practice that are on the C3O website. And I'm going to pause for a moment and show you a film clip of effective local practice from the London Borough of Ealing. And what this is a demonstration of how locally provided services, coordinated through the trusted adult, the key worker, where the key worker, working closely with the family, coordinates all the range of services that are being provided for the family, and ensuring that the multiple contacts are reduced to a minimum, that support is well coordinated and properly accessed and meets the needs of that particular family. But the mother, in this case, has a single point of contact, a trusted adult on whom she can rely to pull all that together. So, a film clip, I think now, from Ealing.
Mahat? Mommy? Come on. Mahat, they diagnosed him with autistic last March.
This leg, Mahat, this leg.
He needs a lot of help, a lot of information, a lot of appointment to understand, or to understand what I have to do with to help him. It's really a problem. I blame myself. I cannot help my son.
For parents, coming to terms with a child's complex needs is never easy.
When the consultant told me that he had cerebral palsy, it was just like the room had stopped.
All right then, Mr. Brown. Come on. This chair, where are you going to sit, darling?
I looked over at my husband and he kind of was teary-eyed and I just felt numb.
Okay. All right, go on then, hold my hand and you go to your chair then.
My mind just didn't stop. It didn't stop for a week. And even the day after, and even after all the tears had been shed, it was still racing because I just didn't know where to begin.
We've got one over here.
We had a lot to deal with at the time. We had to do the appointments, still live our normal daily life, and then still manage our other child.
Maybe it's hard for them to do both of us at the same time because he's got a disability and they need to help him, and they've got to help me because I've still got stuff to do, like with my homework and stuff.
In Ealing, a key working service is making a huge difference to these families' lives.
Hi Jack, how are you? Good, long time?
I know, good. When Vicky came on board, I was excited because all I was thinking about was support.
Anybody in? Two little people? Oh no!